Good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson and of course I'm sitting down with the cubby with the mostest, Techy Joe. How are you, honey?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you this evening?
Oh, deadly and evil as normal.
Oh, well, there you go.
Speaking of deadly, it appears that first grade has gotten a little bit more deadly, at
You
least in
know,
a certain county.
I mean, it's kind of out there. So it is out of Maryland. This is Moco 360. MCPS teacher charged in man's fentanyl death allegedly left school to sell drugs. Silver Spring Elementary School searching for quote qualified substitute for Monday start of classes. All right. So, a Montgomery County Public Schools first grade teacher arrested in connection to the March fentanyl related death of a man in Washington, D.C., allegedly sold him drugs in the months leading to his death, left her classroom to sell drugs, and bragged about selling counterfeit pills, according to court charging documents. Sarah Catherine Majid, 34, who taught at Dr. Charles R. Drew Elementary School in Silver Spring, was arrested Monday after county police and special agents from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration conducted a search and seizure warrant at her Burtonsville home, police said Tuesday in a news release. Magid is being held without bond following a hearing Tuesday in Montgomery County District Court in Rockville, according to court documents. Court records indicate that Magid is scheduled to appear in court September 13th for a preliminary hearing. Diane Owens, Magid's public defender, could not be reached for comment this week. Melissa Rothstein, chief of external affairs for the Maryland Office of the Public Defender, said Thursday it was too early in Miss Magid's proceeding for us to have sufficient information to provide a comment. Magid had been employed by MCPS since 2022, according to charging documents. She has been placed on leave, according to MCPS spokesperson Liliana Lopez. After Magid's arrest, Charles Drew Elementary principal Meredith Casper told the school community in a letter that Magid was on leave. She said limited information could be shared about Magid's leave as it is considered a personnel matter. The school is working to identify a quote qualified substitute teacher to maintain continuity of instruction for the students assigned to Magid's class, Casper said. MCPS students returned to classes Monday. The leadership team at our school will also work closely with the substitute teacher to ensure a smooth start of the year, Casper said. In addition, we will be providing resources for students and staff in the coming days in the event that they need support processing this information. According to police, Magid was taken into custody Monday without incident after police obtained an arrest warrant charging her with violations of the state's controlled dangerous substances statutes. According to court records, Magid also has other criminal charges on her record. They include a 2010 charge for attempting to drive while impaired by alcohol, and a 2020 charge for driving while impaired by a controlled dangerous substance. Magid pleaded guilty to both charges. When asked why Magid was hired while having a criminal record, Lopez did not specifically address the nature of Magid's convictions, but referred to the laws the district follows when hiring. Since Magid is on leave, Lopez said the district is prohibited from discussing personnel matters due to privacy law. According to Lopez, all MCPS employees complete a pre-hire criminal background check and are also subject to the background check process outlined in state law, which mandates employees to disclose information about investigations of child sexual abuse and sexual misconduct. She said MCPS follows Section 6 113 of the Education Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, which states that a county school board can't knowingly hire someone who's been convicted of a sexual offense in the third or fourth degree, child sexual abuse, or crimes of violence. And drug testing is only required for employees who are required to have a commercial driver's license. Those tests are pre-hire, random, for reasonable suspicion, and following an accident, protest said. The case against McGill County Police did not name the man who died or where he lived, but said an autopsy revealed he died from a fentanyl overdose. During an investigation, county detectives in the Special Investigations Division, working with DEA special agents, learned that the man had been in the county in the days leading up to his death, police said. The man died on March 25th in a residence that shelters people recovering from drug and alcohol addiction, according to McGitt's charging documents. One witness told police that they last saw the victim at roughly 8 a.m. March 24th as the victim was heading to the bathroom, according to the charging documents. The next day at about 8:45 p.m., the witness said they saw a light on in the man's bedroom, which they described as odd. The first witness contacted two other people who went into the man's room. After seeing the victim lying on his bed, unresponsive and cold, the witness called 911, charging documents said. Upon arrival, first responders found the victim unresponsive in his bed, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. After the autopsy, DEA investigators interviewed members of the man's family who were provided his cell phone, charging documents said. The phone contained text messages between the man and a contact with the name Sarah, discussing the distribution and sale of pills such as Xanax. Investigators were able to identify the contact Sarah as McGill through law enforcement database queries and information from the phone service her family used, according to charging documents. While looking through the phone, investigators found text conversations between the victim and McGill dating back to May 2023 and leading up to the days before his death. Many of the text message exchanges allegedly involved the man contacting McGill for Xanax and other unknown pills, negotiating prices, and discussing meeting up to purchase and transport drugs for McGill. On March 24th, the man and McGill had a text message exchange about the potential of drugs she sold to him being fakes or counterfeit. Later that day, McGill allegedly texted the victim to notify him that she would be receiving more Xanax pills and asked if he wanted more. When he did not reply after days, she texted him, "Blank, are you dead?" The following day, which was the day after the victim's death, McGill allegedly sent another series of texts, seemingly frustrated with the victim's lack of response. According to charging documents, on March 26, McGill texted the victim, "Guess you died." Hours later, she texted him again, referring to selling someone a counterfeit pill. Later that day, McGill texted the victim again, "Bro, are you straight? Missing for like 4 days. You worrying me?" Charging documents also contain text message exchanges between McGill and the man's sister, who confronted McGill after her brother's death. The sister said her brother had died. "I know who you are and I know what you did," the sister wrote. "Don't blame your brother's choice on me," McGill texted back, according to charging documents. After investigators identified McGill and determined she was a teacher, law enforcement conducted surveillance of her Burtonsville home on June 24th, according to charging documents. On July 28th, law enforcement received an anonymous complaint saying McGill had left her classroom to sell drugs or to other people outside her work, charging documents stated. The complaint also said McGill constantly purchases drugs and said she has been buying large quantities of fentanyl and Xanax pills for over 4 years. The tipster also said McGill sold fentanyl and Xanax to someone with the man's name, and a family member of the victim reached out to the tipster following the man's death, according to charging documents. Jesus.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's one, I don't think most of us ever stop and think through what laws prevent your teacher from being a drug dealer.
Right. And bigger question here is, why are they not looking into what's going on here? I mean, I'm sorry, if you notice your teacher is leaving their classroom multiple times a day and going outside,
or leaving the school. Like,
yeah,
I don't even think it was just the classroom. I think it's, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think every teacher has had a moment where it's like, I need to get out of this classroom before I break one of these little people.
right,
And like, please do go
right.
outside, breathe some air, try not to sell any drugs while you're out there. I think we could have all agreed on.
Okay, this is my point of view. We have stronger restrictions on nurses that take care of the medical department and our health than we do our children, especially first grade teachers.
Well, more to the point, I think parents of children
Mm-hmm.
would go through more with like division of children and families, whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
in each state, over having prior like drug charges,
Mm-hmm.
impaired driving charges, two of them, than apparently a Maryland school teacher will ever go through.
Right.
Like, at what point do we stop in the hiring process and go, this looks like a problem?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but apparently it sounds like Maryland doesn't really care. Like, okay, cool, as long as you don't sexually abuse a minor.
Right.
We're real clear on that one. Don't sexually abuse a minor. Got it. That seems fair. No violent criminal activity.
Right.
As in, don't knock over a liquor store.
Right.
But if someone's already struggling pre-teaching,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would be very concerned about them being in a classroom. Like, it's stressful.
Well, I would be very concerned about them being in a classroom, but I'm more concerned about her having these drugs, especially fentanyl, in a classroom, and a child getting into them. I mean, they're not even supposed to have Tylenol in the classroom.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm hoping these are at least on her person.
Well, I don't know
What I
what
mean? So that
she's ordering.
at least they're, something she's supervising very closely.
Right. I would hope.
But it also sounds like she's not even a good criminal.
Right.
Like, you're using your general cell phone on, like, your family plan.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, did we all miss the memo of, like, you go out and buy a cheap fucking phone that doesn't trace back to you before committing criminal acts? Did we miss that?
Apparently she did. Maybe she was sleeping during that lesson of how to be a criminal entrepreneur.
I mean, generally speaking, like...
Right. And then hunting after your customer, like, bad choices here. So many bad choices. Like, and I would have shut the hell up when the sister messaged me back.
I mean, more importantly, like, I understand, like, to a degree, sell your product. You have more coming in, this is someone who's going to buy your product. I understand that message.
Right.
I don't understand all the, like, and I mean, especially the one that's like, you did.
Right.
And it's like, ooh, there is a level of callous
right.
that goes with that. Like,
And what I don't get is some misguided, and I'm going to call it misguided, PTO people voicing out. The PTO treasurer, I'm not quoting her name here, thank you, Fox 5. I'm worried about how she was with the kids. And she was amazing with my son. So I know this is a big story right now, but it doesn't take away from how awesome of a teacher she was, says Demalios, who described her son as being sent to McGowan's class multiple times. He was in her class often for, like, parties in her class and Etsy, which Etsy, which is SCY, which is summer school, and she was amazing with him. And my son has autism, so it takes a special person to handle kids with special needs. She did amazing with them. I don't know if she's guilty. That's up to the cops to figure out and the lawyers to figure out. I just want to focus on how it impacts her students, says blank, who tells Fox 5 the school is now scrambling to find a long-term sub to replace McGilly ahead of CPS's first day of school on August 26th. So she tells Fox 5 that McGiddy came to work she performed. McGiddy pointed out in January 2023 fentanyl crisis within MCPS and asked whether she thought the school could have done anything different. DeMazia answered that he doesn't think so because when McGiddy came to work, she was there to perform. Excuse me?
I mean, I give her credit then, I guess, to some extent.
Right.
Like, you managed to be a, first grade teacher drug dealer and at least handle the first grade teaching parts responsibly. Minus the whole you're leaving your classroom to go sell drugs.
Right.
Which is a bit of a problem, but okay, I can buy into you have a lot of happy parents.
Right.
Like, or, you know what I mean? But it's still, like, what?
Yeah, and they're more mad that the school system did not acknowledge that she was arrested. They just said that she's on personal leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think the anger's a little misplaced there.
I think it's highly misplaced.
Like, I think I would, like, understand that the school is stuck in this is now a personnel matter. But, watch the news. Wink, wink.
Wink.
Might have been worth saying. But realistically, like, good God. I mean, again, it's a personnel matter at this point. There's really nothing they can legally say.
Right. What gets me, and maybe it was different when we were in school. Because I'm sorry, we had teachers that had vodka in a coffee cup. We knew that. We had teachers that, smoked pot as soon as they got out of school. We knew that. They even gave us tips on how not to get caught. Now, granted, I went to school during the time when us and the teachers smoked out back and was told to stay behind the building and don't open the door while someone's got a cigarette open. Like, what the hell?
Well, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there are many teachers that like, I'm not surprised the teacher has a substance abuse problem.
Right.
That part I can kind of understand, process. Granted, she had this before she was a teacher. The dealing, and especially while working, it's like that, and especially in a first grade classroom and with fentanyl of all things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I could almost just get over the Xanax.
I wouldn't care about the Xanax. I care about the fentanyl. That's going to kill kids.
Yeah. Well, like the Xanax isn't going to be good for kids.
Well, it's not going to be good, but it's not like instant death. Like there's room to pump a stomach.
Right. Like you get time for someone to fess up to like pump her stomach.
Right.
Like, something like, I think it's drugs. I don't know how this happened.
Right.
And then you could still blame Xanax on someone got into mommy's prescription. I'm sure you'll go through a classroom or an entire school and find someone's mommy that takes Xanax who's missing a couple pills.
Exactly.
What you're probably not going to do is like believe that some random kid got into, mommy's fentanyl and brought that to school.
Right.
like that's a harder sell. Like that's
Right.
pretty much in the classroom.
Well,
Like,
see, and what even scares me more, and we found out in this news story, is that she was a special ed teacher. That's even more damaging.
but doing well at it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's. I mean, and I guess I'm conflicted because it's like, how are you a good teacher and this bad at at being a drug dealer?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, could you incriminate yourself more?
Right. Now, I find Brenda's comment interesting. So, a teacher gets talked bad about, and in trouble for having an OnlyFans during her own time dealing drugs. Oh, but she was a good teacher. Exactly.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
teacher deals drugs, like, but she was a really great teacher.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Well, out of the same district, they've got a teacher um, who took adult pictures in her classroom and sent to her boyfriend. Her boyfriend and her break up. He sends the pictures to the school board. The teacher gets put on suspension.
Well, at least she kept her job.
Yeah, well, she's on suspension.
Well, but not fired immediately and dismissed permanently with prejudice. Like, there's hope, but how bad is the school district?
A lot, apparently.
Like, oh, good Lord. 3 days before this,
Mm-hmm.
MCPS reports over 4,000 serious incidents in 2023-24 school year, raising concerns.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Jesus. So, a graph showed the number of fights in county schools was down considerably last school year, raising concerns about accuracy. When we are not truthful as adults, what's going on? We're not helping our kids. Oh, God. Yeah, it sounds like this school has issues.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's been a number of issues here. Teachers sending pictures to students by mistake.
Like like 10 days ago, anti-Semitic graffiti and other vandalism found in more Montgomery County schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just insane at the level of, oh my God, that has been coming out of Maryland schools. Like Oak Hill, West Virginia schools are a fucking underprivileged mess. Maryland schools are a whole different level, and I really look for the federal government to step in here.
Yeah, apparently bomb threats, weapons, and trespassing are up. That's one headline. That was 9 days ago. So, yeah, it's sounding like it's a very rough district.
Yeah.
Oh, an estimated 50,000 bees are inside the walls of a Montco high school. Also, same school district.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell?
Uh-huh. All right. So let's, let's keep an eye on them, but at the same time, let's go look at Kroger. Oh, Kroger, you're in trouble.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So a Kroger exec reportedly testified that the supermarket giant raised prices of milk and eggs beyond inflation costs. So this is from Business Insider. So a Kroger executive reportedly testified that the company raised milk and egg prices beyond inflation. The testimony comes amid a legal battle over Kroger's proposed $24.6 billion merger with Albertsons. The FTC is fighting to block the merger, arguing it would result in higher grocery prices for millions. A top Kroger executive testified that the grocery chain hiked up the prices of milk and eggs beyond the added cost from inflation, according to a new report. The remarks were made during a court hearing over antitrust regulators' attempt to block the supermarket giant's merger, with grocery chain Albertsons. While testifying in Oregon federal court on Wednesday, Kroger's senior director for pricing, Andy Groff, was questioned by a Federal Trade Commission attorney regarding an internal email he sent to other Kroger executives earlier this year about the prices of the staple household items. On milk and eggs, retail inflation has been significantly higher than cost inflation, Groff wrote in the March email, Bloomberg reported. In response to questions about the email, Groff testified that Kroger's objective is to pass through our inflation to consumers, according to the news outlet. A Kroger spokesperson downplayed the remarks, saying in a statement to Business Insider, this cherry-picked email covers a specific period and does not reflect Kroger's decades-long business model to lower prices for consumers by reducing its margins. The discussion around grocery costs came to light amid growing national attention on inflation and price gouging. Vice President Kamala Harris and the 2024 Democratic presidential nominee recently unveiled her plan to crack down on grocery inflation, which includes a first-ever federal ban on excessive overpricing of food and groceries. Harris's plan has sparked mixed reactions from experts and economists, with some criticizing it as an unnecessary government intervention into an issue they argue is not at the core of the inflation problem that has impacted Americans in recent years. Meanwhile, Kroger and Albertsons are continuing to duke it out in court against federal regulators who are trying to block the company's proposed merger, the largest in United States history. The supermarket chains argue that Kroger's acquisition of Albertsons would boost competition with retail rivals like Walmart, Costco, and Amazon, while the FTC alleges the opposite, saying the deal is actually anti-competitive and would result in higher grocery prices for millions of Americans, as well as lower wages for workers.
Right.
Both sides are currently making their case before U.S. District Judge Adrian Nelson, who will ultimately decide at the end of the hearing next month whether to approve the FTC's request for a preliminary injunction against the merger. If the judge rules in favor of the FTC, the deal between Kroger and Albertsons could end up torpedoed completely.
What I find interesting is Don Powers, the founder of Illinois-based Powers Financial Group, told Newsweek that companies across multiple industries have been posting record profits since the panini crisis, while consumers have faced higher inflation in recent history. The math can only point to companies raising prices above the general level of inflation. An old saying goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. Excuse me? Like, dude.
Oh, yeah. I think we all knew this was happening. It's just that actually have some smoking gun evidence that this is what was going on.
Right.
I mean, I don't think any of us are surprised.
Well, we're not surprised, but it's nice to see that they're actually admitting it. And what we've seen also with this is that the specialty foods are marked 3 to 5% more. And it's like, why?
Yeah, but even base foods.
Yeah.
I mean, more than doubled at points. Like milk and eggs and bread, and like it more than doubled.
Can we talk butter? Oh my God, $8.99 for a 4-pack of butter. That's $2 a stick.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or when bread shot over like $4 and something.
Right, or 10.
And I'm talking like the generic store brand bread.
Right.
Was suddenly these 99 cent loaves were suddenly $4.
Right.
There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way.
Right. And there is a way. It's called profit margin boosting. Why they have held or cut down their workers' pay.
Mm-hmm. Or, on one hand saying you're a crisis or what is it? Frontline worker, but they called it. I forget what it was. So while calling them that, simultaneously being like, but no, you don't get hazard pay or any kind of, special incentive. Like, nah.
Right. Which one of my close friends has been at Kroger's for more than 30 years. He's had COVID 8 times.
Essential employee. That was the phrasing.
Yeah, essential employee. So, when we start to talk about this, how much did McMillan's, the CEO of Kroger's get? $14 million. Plus $10 million in stock rewards. So that's a bonus of about, I don't know, 6. Here we go. I'm going to have to send this to Joe.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We expected prices on some things to go up.
Right.
Like, I don't think anyone was surprised by that it was going to be harder to get things. Deliveries were going to be delayed, that we were going to have shortages. Like, we got all of that.
Well, not only that, and we understood that, but then we found out, and, we reported on this because we stocked the fuck up. The warehouses were holding back food from the stores.
They were creating an artificial shortage.
Exactly. So then they turned around, they had to ship the food out and sell it at loss because they didn't ship it when it should have been shipped.
Right. They held it back so long it started going bad.
Right.
So at the point in which it's now going bad, oh, look, we have a great deal for you.
Right.
And it's like, but is it? Like, don't get me wrong. I appreciate a deal. I love a deal.
Right.
Like, I will buy me some ugly vegetables and bring them home and chop them up and put them in the freezer and do everything I can to, like, halt some peppers, onions, and mushrooms from going bad.
Right.
I'm down with that. Like, I don't like food waste. And I understand that kind of food waste is that, like, peppers and onions and stuff, if they are picked over and no one has bought them, they will go bad.
Right.
And consumers don't want to purchase them, especially if they don't think they're going to go straight home and use them. Right. Like, it happens. I'm perfectly fine to show up and be like, I will take them home and go chop them and freeze them.
Right. But, you gave me grief for buying that sugar at $1 a bag. You gave me grief for buying, what was it, like 20 cans of fucking coffee for like $2 a can. And at the same time, if we went back 6 months, there was no sugar, there was no coffee on the shelves in Kroger's. Why? Because the warehouse didn't send it.
Yeah, but it's also one of those moments, like, that's a lot of product for our house, honey. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of coffee. It's a lot of coffee. Because he's not talking the little baby canisters. This is that big monster canister.
Yeah.
Like, you can fill it with concrete and make footings for a porch. Coffee canister. Like, it's a coffee canister. But no, I get it on one hand, but then on another, it's just kind of like, but there also comes a point where, like, what the hell happened?
Right.
And it almost feels like also rewarding in grocers who turned around and withheld product from market, and not only drove a shortage in their stores, but then because the community would, of course, branch out,
right?
And it's like you need milk, eggs, and butter and coffee and etc.
Right.
That it also pushes other stores into shortage, especially stores that have a lower buying power, and meanwhile absorbs product into a warehouse,
right,
and sets it in limbo. And then, yay, we're saving money. Like, I get it. Like, it's now on sale. Right. It's cheaper than we would normally pay for coffee.
Right. But we also saw our little independent grants here.
And
I talked to the manager, and I said, why do y'all have this? And he says, because we've got so many in the back, and we restock the shelves every day with what we've got. But they were never low on anything, including toilet paper, guys. They had a limit by 2.
Yeah.
And it's
like
a higher price.
Slowing it down, and it was a little bit of a higher price, which they're mostly always higher price because they are smaller.
Right.
Like, they can't negotiate the Uber deal.
Right. But you know what they're never were short on? Eggs, milk, bread.
Nope.
Meat.
Always have that.
Like, their fucking meat prices, you can't beat them. Like, sorry, nobody's beating their meat prices.
Yeah. But then it still became an issue. You had your local communities that were having to, like, the whole reason they were having to put limits and be very careful and conservative with how much they sold, because it wasn't just on toilet paper. It was on, there were a lot of things with limits at that point.
Right.
Was because it would very quickly have cleared them out. Like, there was a lot of displaced consumerism having to hit small local independents instead of retail giants like Kroger.
Right.
And most of these communities, like, those community stores weren't built for that kind of influx. Like,
right. But he managed it in a logical way. Not this holding back tons of fucking food, marking these prices up. He didn't change these prices. Like, none of their prices changed. They're naturally high on, like, toilet paper, paper towels, because that's not his selling base. His selling base is meat, fresh produce, that type of thing. He didn't raise those prices. He just managed his stock.
Yeah. We're not putting everything out at once. We're continuously restocking.
Right.
But we're not going to let you come in here and grab, 500 rolls of toilet paper. Like, that's fucking ridiculous.
Exactly. I also found that I don't have to go shopping in his store with my app, because his store has everything marked.
Well, and I think, there's that, but then there's also, I think it's a better quality of product. Like, sorry, and this is part of what I'm running or noticing more and more about retail giants. Is there's a class of product that they're buying and in turn selling to general consumers. And you start reading those labels and it's like, wait, what? Like, this isn't, like, why? Like, because we've been going through the whole, like, why does this have gluten in it? There's no reason this should have gluten in it.
Right.
What are you doing?
Well, it's like the medallions or whatever you looked at today.
Oh, yeah. The bacon wrapped fillets at Kroger.
Right.
They're on sale right now for $5. Yeah, cool. Yay, we'll have a really nice dinner. So I thought. $10, a little bit upscale for just the meat portion of a meal. But 2 fillets, it's not that bad. And considering what we've been seeing for meat prices, it would have been a nice treat. But then I'm looking at them because we've ogled, talked about them more than once, and usually they're like at minimum like almost $7.
Right.
like even before the panini. So I was like, ooh, $5. We could have a really nice dinner. And then we actually looked at the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. All of them have some form of like modified food starch, yeast extract, you name it.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's not gonna work.
No.
So it really brings into question, what are we actually buying?
Flour.
Like, well, yeah, I get that part, but more to the point of like, what are you selling us in terms of product? Because this sounds
Right.
like it's kind of garbage.
Right.
Like, why are you selling, meat that has, like, what? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are we covering everything in this modified food search? Why are we covering everything which not gluten free, or yeast extract not gluten free? Like, I thought I was buying meat wrapped in bacon.
Right.
Like, I understand those two items.
Right.
A slab of dead cow
Mm-hmm.
wrapped in dead pig. Seems simple enough.
Mm-hmm.
Logical enough. What?
Yeah.
All right, so you got a number for me.
Yeah. That's how much he made in bonuses in 2023 or 2022.
673,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of bonus.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even like base plus. That's the bonus alone, all by itself.
He made $15.5 million for his base pay.
Yeah. That's
Yeah. And he's driving up egg prices, dragging up this, that, and another. And choosing not to tell his warehouses, put everything you got on those trucks, get them the hell out. We're not losing food. In a crisis. Like, there was a supply shortage. It doesn't even sit in a warehouse. It needs to be on a shelf.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand some flow control. And perhaps trying to use a warehouse as like a bit of flow control. Like, I can, like, so you don't run out.
Right.
But not at the level in which you now have like expiring product.
Right.
Like, no. That's not flow control. That's creating an artificial shortage.
Right.
Like, you took product you could have sold and shoved it in a warehouse and then pretended you didn't have product.
Right.
And jacked up the cost of the product you had. And you basically fed into the shortage mentality with understocked shelves.
Right.
At a time when literally you were creating a panic.
Right. Which meant you rose your prices, you wasted product, which is my bigger problem. Like, rise your prices if you need to. But your warehouse is supposed to be a gathering location, not a food holding location. Yeah.
Like, many things went. But I am glad we're finally like talking about it, seeing it. Cannot believe that Kroger and Albertsons have drugged themselves into this.
Well, I can't believe he just outright said, "Oh yeah, we doubled the prices because we wanted to," which means he wasn't paying the egg producers, he wasn't paying the carton creators, he wasn't paying the processing plants more. Right. He was just paying himself more.
Pure profit.
Yeah.
Pure profit.
Yeah.
Like, no one else got paid more than Kroger's executives through bonuses and additional compensation.
Right.
Like the truck driver who brought the product to the store did not get more money.
Right.
The sales clerk on the floor did not get more money. The store manager didn't get more money.
Right.
The people who create the product all the way through that, including the company who sold it,
right,
didn't make more.
No.
This was purely a 1 point profit.
Right. Insaneness. The level of insaneness. And I think this is just a touch of the barrel. I think this is just the touch of the barrel.
Yeah, I think we're going to be finding out for a long time the things that got price gouged.
Right.
I think for a lot of retailers and salespeople, they did it in a way that it wasn't. I mean, it was obvious what was going on. I think we all got that. Is that like a couple of keen business people figured out, exploit it, and a bunch more signed on. I think they tried to do it in a way that didn't make it so obvious.
Right.
You know, it's not like the existing laws we have for like like a tornado hits your area, is predicted to hit your area. Lowe's is not allowed to suddenly take, $50 a sheet plywood and make it $500.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
But if Lowe's predicts that this summer is going to be a strong season,
right,
and incrementally increases the price of plywood,
right,
and doesn't like tenfold it, but slowly works their way up to double,
right,
you made a whole sheet of plywood's worth of profit off of one sheet of plywood,
right,
on top of the profit you would normally.
Right.
I think they thought that's what they were doing, was trying to fluctuate. Yeah, it didn't go.
Right.
But I do think professionally, it's probably pulled a lot of grocers under a microscope now.
Well, I'm really excited about this because we've had this in other entities. We've never had this on food. We need this on food.
I think there was an understanding that it wasn't going to work.
Right.
Which we've seen happen with groceries. Like, a lot of people made a lot of significant changes to how they eat after 2020.
Right.
Like, going forward, like they have completely re-strategized.
Right.
So, I mean, like, as much as we want to talk about people's life choices influencing their health, therefore influencing the cost of healthcare,
right,
I really think we have to stop and go, how much does arbitrarily creating food shortages and jacking up the price of common staples alter how people eat?
Well, considering that we're still eating like we're in the Depression, most of America, that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we look at the chemicals they're putting in our food.
I mean, I'm kind of waiting for the stop the insanity moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, someone's gonna hit a wall.
Right.
And I think we're all going to be hitting it at the same time of, like, we're not eating this crap anymore.
Right.
Like, I hope you make your money while you can. Like, this goes out to grocers and food manufacturers. I hope you make your money while you can.
Right.
Because I think there's a storm of brewing. And I think a lot of smaller local grocers are going to end up doing a lot more business.
Right. And I think that we're going to see a lot of food chemicals come down.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank. I don't think this merger is a good merger.
No. No, I think it works out to something like they would have control of like 80% or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which is why the federal government is sitting here like, oh, the fuck you are.
Exactly.
You cannot merge.
Right.
And it's not like a total 80% control. It's 80% of a certain market segment that's like, oh, that's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah, that's no.
Mm-mm. All right. So apparently there's a playground closed. Why can't we go play on the swings?
Yeah. So from the Washingtonian, closed playground near J.D. Vance's house says a lot about living in the D.C. area in 2024. Neighbors threw a party to say goodbye to the park Saturday night. It became a thing on social media. So on Saturday night, a few dozen people who live in Alexandria's Delray neighborhood gathered at Judy Low Neighborhood Park to bid it goodbye. The city of Alexandria had announced that the park, which abuts U.S. Senator from Ohio and Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance's house, would be closed until further notice due to a request from the U.S. Secret Service. Parking would be restricted to residents on the block nearby, the city said, and law enforcement would barricade the park. The party wasn't anything more than just the community saying goodbye to this space where we gather all the time, says Becky Hammer, an Alexandria lawyer and frequent poster on Blue Sky, the boutique social network where some of the city's YIMBYs have carved out a discussion space that was partly where the gathering was organized. It wasn't a huge rager or anything. The park features a playground for small children, and Hammer says she spent hundreds of hours there. This being Delray, where more than 65% of the vote at the precinct near the park went to Joe Biden in 2020, the event had a Democratic tinge. A teenager who attended made Hammer a friendship bracelet that says Kamala is brat. And this being the United States in 2024, there was blowback on Twitter. Hammer posted a photo of the gathering on Blue Sky, where she has 1,500 followers, that indicated they were in front of Vance's house. Right-wing influencer and aspiring right-wing influencer accounts then shared a screenshot of her post to complain about her identifying Vance's house, thereby broadcasting what it looks like even further. Harassment ensued. That's why I'm not on Twitter anymore, says Hammer, who has kept her account on the service, though it's locked. Alexandria is no stranger to neighbors with bold-faced names. I haven't heard anyone complain seriously about a locked-down block, especially after an assassination attempt on Vance's running mate last month that involved numerous apparent failures by the Secret Service. Some grumbling about the inconvenience, sure, but the closures are fairly easy to work around. Nobody objects to the idea that the park should be closed off, Hammer said. I think people are surprised it didn't happen earlier. Other attendees shared the same sentiment. One told me Vance would have been welcome if he'd been home and wandered over. But still, Vance's presence in the neighborhood is complex. Like his neighborhood in Ohio, it's got a lot of people who likely count as the type of elites he disdains in appearances. A few residents welcomed him with yarn art when he moved in last year, but when the Washington Post visited Delray last month, most of the quotes its reporters culled were of the grudging acceptance variety. He's got to live somewhere, the person said. Delray, where I live too, is a self-consciously quirky place with a lively main drag on Mount Vernon Avenue, with restaurants, cute shops, and a farmer's market on the weekend. Vance appears to have maintained a light footprint in the neighborhood since he arrived. I think the reaction would be a little different if it was somebody that we all knew, Hammer said. The Fed managed to roll out Do what now?
He's not a good neighbor, anyhow.
Sounding good. Yeah. The Fed managed rollout of what some people are calling Fort Vance wasn't totally smooth. Jersey barriers first went up, blocking a bike lane and sidewalk on Commonwealth Avenue, which the city had promised wouldn't happen. City officials got on scene quickly and worked things out with the feds. Our team has been working in close collaboration with our federal partners to minimize the impact, Alexandria Mayor Justin Wilson told Washingtonian in a text message. On Monday morning, about 10 motorcycles from Secret Service police and DC police were parked in the bike lane next to the Jersey barriers, lining the west side of the park. 2 tents were set up at either end of Vance's block, one behind signs alerting pedestrians that they consent to a search if they enter the cordon. Across Commonwealth, new yarn art that reads Peace, Love, and Kamala had sprouted on a telephone pole. One person nearby flew a flag with the Democratic Party's donkey symbol, Harris for President, Cats for Kamala, and signs promoting the re-election of Vance's fellow U.S. Senator from Ohio, the Democrat Sherrod Brown, appeared in yards nearby. Some of them looked like they had been re-angled to face Vance's abode since I saw them on Friday. The whole scene offered many reminders that in 2024, nothing about living in the D.C. area is simple.
I like the yarn work. It's quite interesting that it quickly put that together so well.
You know, sometimes.
Like, sorry, it's just the simple touches that make it around.
You know, you got to make the neighborhood homey.
I know. So let's go ahead and run our break, and we'll come back. We're going to do Ask Aeson Above 30 and Are You an Asshole?
All right.
Love diving into metaphysical topics, psychic insights, and lively discussions? Now you can help keep the conversation going. By becoming a Patreon supporter of The Psychic Coffee Shop, you'll gain access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and special perks just for our patrons. Join our community and ensure that your favorite psychic show continues to thrive. Your support helps us bring more enlightening episodes, special guests, and deep dives into the world of the unseen. Become a patron today and enjoy a cup of wisdom with us every week. Click the link to join the baristas and unlock exclusive content. Thank you for your support.
Unlock your full potential with Aeson Knight's life coaching. Are you ready to take control of your life and manifest the future you deserve? Aeson Knight, a seasoned life coach and master psychic, is here to guide you on a transformative journey. Whether you're navigating personal challenges, career transitions, or seeking spiritual growth, Aeson's life coaching services offer tailored guidance to help you achieve your goals. With Aeson by your side, you'll discover the tools to overcome obstacles, embrace your true self, and create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. His unique blend of spiritual insight and practical coaching empowers you to turn your dreams into reality. Ready to make a change? Book your session today and start your journey to a more empowered, balanced, and joyful life with Aeson Knight. Click the link to schedule your first session and step into your power.
Are you ready for an electrifying podcast experience that keeps you coming back for more? Join Aeson Knight every week as he takes you on a journey through captivating shows, each exploring unique and fascinating topics. And here's the best part. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode where you can get your burning questions answered live on air, absolutely free. Whether it's relationship advice, career guidance, or mystical insights, Aeson's podcasts have got you covered. When you subscribe, you become part of a vibrant community, engaging directly with Aeson as he shares his wisdom and leaves you feeling empowered and enlightened. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation. What you'll get by subscribing: Monday 5 p.m. Metaphysics. Today, soulful conversations with Aeson Knight and Firefly, exploring the essence of metaphysics in today's world. Tuesday 8 p.m. The Psychic Coffee Shop. Dive into current events with a psychic twist, featuring special guests and thought-provoking discussions. Friday 9 p.m. The Mountain Bears Podcast. Lively discussions from a gayish, techy-ish, bearish perspective with Aeson and Joe. Sunday 5 p.m., Psychic That Plans. Get a weekly tarot energy overview and time management tips from Aeson and Night. Click here to subscribe now and never miss an episode. By subscribing, you're not just tuning in, you're joining a community of curious minds and ensuring you're always in the loop with Eason's insightful and interactive shows. Don't wait. Hit that subscribe button and get ready for an amazing podcast journey.
Ready for an enchanting journey of self-discovery? Join Lord Aeson Knight in our Wicca courses. Unveil the secrets of Wicca. Explore deity relationships, rituals, and more. As a third-degree high priest, Aeson Knight guides you toward empowerment and enlightenment. Enroll today and take your first step into the magical circle. Click the link to begin your journey.
Psychic Saturday. Get 50% off with Aeson Night every third Saturday of the month. Don't miss out. Book now.
All right. Welcome back. All right. So plead your case.
All right. Am I the asshole for refusing to loan out my sitter? My ex and I share custody of our 9-year-old son, Caleb. He had ODD and ADHD when he was 5. It was so bad that he got kicked out of summer camp and went through multiple sitters all before he was 6. His mom and I worked, so being a stay-at-home parent wasn't an option. A few summers ago, we found our unicorn sitter, Mike. We have no idea, but Mike makes it work, how Mike makes it work, but he does. Caleb has been a different kid ever since Mike started working for us. He is so well-behaved, polite, and social. Mike is like his best friend. We joke that Mike is Caleb's executive assistant. Earlier this year, Caleb became friends with a classmate named Luke. They wanted a sleepover playdate and everything was good until we said that Mike would pick up both boys, bring them to my place, go to the pier, and then back home to go to bed. Luke's mom flat out said she wasn't comfortable with a male sitter. I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. She said it was too weird for a male to babysit and wasn't cool with it. I said she didn't need to explain herself and there would be no play dates with our kids outside of school. She wasn't expecting that. I told her if she's not okay with a male caregiver, then she probably wouldn't be okay with Luke spending the night at my place since I'm a single dad. I pointed out that she was the first parent to have a problem with this, and Mike occasionally works for other families at the school. She was offended that I was offended. I ran into Luke's mom, who said she needed a sitter for a couple of weeks as her old sitter quit and the new sitter wasn't free until mid-September. She then asked if Mike would be free. She even said she would need an overnight. I said, you can't be serious. You said you didn't trust Mike, and now you want him to watch your son so you can have a social life. I admit that it took guts to ask. I told her, no, we will not share our nanny. You said that it was suspect when a guy has a childcare job. She said she was joking and that Mike is a nice guy. I said, I know he is, but you can't use him. For the record, the days and times that she needed him are days where he is working for us. She would have paid him on top of what we pay, but Mike would be at Luke's house or his place. My ex and I don't mind Mike double dipping on sitter fees by watching more than one kid because he can make a lot of money and Caleb gets a play date. This was an exception where I did her a problem. So, am I the asshole? OP has offered the following explanation. I refused to loan out my son's sitter to a mom because she insulted him by saying that he was weird for being a male sitter. She said she wasn't serious about the comment, but she was. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole.
No. I think that was really I'm with OP. I think it was very gutsy after having made the first pass faux pas. But I don't know. I think more so maybe put it to Mike.
Well, that's my thing. Is like, I'm sorry. I don't share people's information at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I would take her, like, if she wants Mike so bad, I would agree to take her information.
Right.
And give it to Mike and include with that, oh, and this is what she said about you.
No, I would go, oh, Mike, do you remember such and such going on? Because you know they've had this conversation.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure this has come up. But yeah, I would be like, yeah, she wants your information. Get her.
Yeah.
Like, charge her out the ass.
Well, you know.
So far above market rate.
Very much so. It reminds me of some other situations that have occurred in general. And I'm like, no. You don't get to play that ball game.
Yeah. Well, Brenda, I'm kind of there. I don't think this is going to end well. What Brenda says is, nope, first thing you know, she'd accuse the sitter of something. I still don't want to ruin someone's job opportunities.
Right.
I would definitely make sure that, like, this is the woman. Tread carefully.
Well, not only that, but I would make sure that I don't care, Mike. I will pay you twice what you need. I will use you on days I don't need you, but I'm going to match your schedule.
Yep. Whatever she needs, you're unavailable. I will pay
for it.
Like,
exactly.
Just charge me. Just whatever.
Right. You know, but it also brings up this great point that he is literally like this kid. We have this in life. I'm going to call such and such and tell them you're misbehaving. Boom. Kid's in perfect behavior.
I think some people just, something about them, something about the way they talk to kids or handle kids or think about kids, something allows them to communicate better.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
And that may also be very specific to different, like, conditions. You know, ODD, ADHD, prior experience, family members with, one, both, or multiple disorders. Whatever it is, something allows them to connect better. I don't think it's weird.
Right.
Like, I don't. I think more so the fact that we still consider it weird is weird.
Right.
Yeah.
You know. So it works.
Yeah. Not the asshole.
Yeah.
I can't believe she would ask after what she did and knowing how, like, viscerally you reacted. I can't believe she would even ask again. Like, to have the fortitude to ask.
Right.
Like, I would have asked any other parent than you.
Right.
Like, I've already screwed this up. Got it. Screwed this up. Got it. And you've already told me he works for other parents.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and now I'm desperate because I can't find a sitter. Maybe I can just throw this resource to the one that I insulted. How dare they? How dare her? All right. So let's move along over to Ask Gays Over 30.
All right. So Ask Gay Bros Over 30 has different eating habits than your partner. I don't necessarily need advice, just wondering if others experience this and how you handle it. My partner and I have vastly different eating habits, such as how many meals per day and how much we eat per meal. This results in situations like one of us being hungry and the other one isn't, or me ending up with a bunch of leftovers all of the time while he always eats his full meal. It's been an interesting thing to manage, as it's very important to him to eat meals together, and he often won't eat if I don't, even if he's hungry. Another situation is I want to eat my leftovers for dinner, but because he always finishes his meal, we have to either cook something separate for him or go get something, which can be awkward. I know this is probably a super boring topic, but if anyone has any relatable experience, I'd love to hear it.
It is not fucking boring. This is the top conversation. It's too much freaking households.
Yeah. I think most everyone is there now. Like, this is not like we had this lovely view and probably a majority concept, at least of suburban families.
Right.
Where, stay-at-home mom and 9-to-5 dads. That created this idea that you, as a family, should be eating at least one meal a day together.
Right.
If not, preferably 2, possibly 3, depending. That I think somewhere around the early 2000s just really started to fall apart.
Right.
If not the 90s. If really, like, honestly, Gen Xers, the latchkey kids, I think got hit with it first. Because there were a lot of parents that quit fucking cooking and trying to have dinner as a family in the 90s.
Well, and, we have tried having this and trying doing things. And, I work night shift. You work day shift.
Vastly different schedules.
Vastly different schedule. I hate what he has for breakfast.
Oh, okay. You have zero interest.
Zero.
Like, it's a struggle for you to have breakfast at breakfast. It's sometimes a real struggle for me because, like, the things I want for breakfast, or like if I'm eating real breakfast food, you're not interested. You're occasionally interested. And then, like, as we go through the day, like, we seem to almost deviate even further sometimes.
Exactly. Because, like, I'm getting up, he's making dinner, which is great. Wonderful. I love dinner food. Or I'm having a TV meal because he's having something I can't eat. I don't care. And then, or I'm having a meal and he's not interested in it. And then when I want dinner is at like 3:00 in the morning. He's asleep.
If you wake me up for that, I'm going to punch you.
Exactly. Okay.
Like, now, wake me up at 3:00 in the morning, I will consider if you're offering. Like, the full Monty of breakfast.
Right.
And then go back to bed because I have to. And that's sometimes more of a problem than you'd think. Like,
exactly.
Especially now.
Right. So, we recently done this. I went and bought me some fucking TV dinners. I got tired of sandwiches. We recently went and found the brand that I enjoy of lunch meat is now the brand of the house.
Which I'm fine with.
Okay.
Like, you had a whole moment, like, last week, which was like, I just didn't know which ham you liked. And I'm like, ham. The type of ham I like is ham. Smoked, honey, don't care. Black Forest. Like, I will eat ham.
You're getting S-bar.
I don't care.
Right.
Like, I get picky about my cheeses, okay? I am picky about my pickles. I don't care about the meat.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there are some, like, don't get me pickle loaf or pimento loaf or olive loaf or
I don't think
liver.
S-bar makes those.
Well, I'm just saying, though.
I'm hoping they make
like
a liver's worth.
Like, if the only lunch meat you come home with is bologna, you're getting hurt.
Right.
Shannon is picky on her pickles. Clausen or death. That is a level of pickle. No.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with me getting you pickle loaf.
No.
Because you got the choices of salami, turkey, bologna, or ham.
Oh, well, I don't eat bologna. It's a rare event that I'm like, God, I want a fried bologna sandwich. Rare event. It is almost up there with peanut butter. Like, it's almost up there with peanut butter.
Is all their products Oh my God.
What? Aspar is just the magical gluten-free company?
That's what I'm looking into.
Okay, cool. But no, there's I don't know. There's a certain segment of lunch meats that I'm just nope. They do nothing for me now, but everything else, like chicken, turkey, roast beef, salami, like all those, I'm fine with. I don't care. Just stock the fridge.
Yeah.
Like I will make a sandwich. I don't care.
Almost. They don't have gluten-free corn dogs.
Oh no! Well, that's kind of hard to do. Like that's a batter.
I get that.
Like if you got to deep fry it, it's a struggle to do that without gluten.
But their bacon is gluten-free. All the meats are gluten-free. Imagine that. Now, this company is not even a premier company.
Shannon apparently horrified her children
Right.
with lunch meat. I'm sorry. It just somehow like cracks me up. Okay, anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Of course, Brenda's easy on most things. A few things she won't substitute the same. Of course, I'm getting even more difficult. Apparently, she horrified the children with lunch meat. Siblings were in heaven, though. But no, back to her husband. Her husband doesn't eat breakfast. He just had a cup of coffee and started his day. I would make myself something on my own. And that's what he does. He's even gotten some breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah. Shannon's kids, they don't eat lunch meat because their dad thought it was gross. Fair enough. Like, some of it can be, like that olive loaf. Like, can we talk about olive loaf for a minute?
We can talk about olive loaf while I go to try to find me some liverwurst.
Okay. Like, that's weird. Okay? Olive loaf is weird. Like, that is in a class of lunch meat that is just weird. Like, I have never been eating a sandwich or thinking about making one and thought, you know what would make this better? Olives. Olives infused into my meat would be a great idea. Like, no, I've never thought that. Oh, yeah. Mexica. Joe, they don't do sandwiches. They do tacos or quesadillas. Those are their Sammies.
Mm-hmm.
No, I get it. Yeah, Brenda says, ooh, Dad ate Dutch loaf for lunch sandwiches every day for like 20 years. I will pass. Yes. No, it was, and that was in like the list of meats that like Dad would get in on a kick for. And Mom was into it. Like, oh my God. Like olive loaf? Mm-mm. Like, no. Like, Dad's lunch meat variety was limited at times. Like, he would go on a tangent. And it's like, oh God, please no.
We're going to have to find this brand.
Oh, okay. You found a new brand of lunch meat.
Well, I found a brand of liverwurst. You don't have to eat it.
I know I don't.
It's called Jones's Dairy Farm Bratwurst in bacon.
Oh. Bratwurst and bacon?
Yes, it's liverwurst wrapped in bacon. It's delicious. Or I'm hoping it's delicious.
Yeah. Oh, Shannon, that makes it slightly better, I guess. Yeah, but eyeballs in the mystery meat. Yeah, no. No. That's where I'm at with the olive loaf. It's no.
Well,
I don't like
the reaction you had from that sandwich that I wanted to try.
Oh, what was the sandwich?
It's the cream cheese and diced olive spread.
Oh yeah, I had an initial. I like black olives and cream cheese. I'm willing to give a shot. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, olive loaf though.
Right.
I hate green olives. I mean talk about the things your family ruins for you. Being in a family of alcoholics, green olives are high on the list of foods I cannot stand.
Right.
Like, Dad had a fascination with every time Dad drank, he dearly loved olives. And it was kind of one of those things, you knew Dad was drunk when he started eating olives.
Right.
It's just an association I have in my head.
Right.
Is that is the whole alcohol olive green olive connection. Right. And I've sworn up and down you got to be drunk to enjoy a green olive, because I have never in my life enjoyed a single green olive. Black olives I dearly love, but green olives, no.
Right. But no, in general, couples are going to eat differently. They're going to have different levels of eating. Figure it out. If you're tired of leftovers, get some TV dinners. Freeze them. You can have your own TV meal later on when he's not even eating it.
Well, and I think at some point you also have to accept that these are your partner's choices. Stop being guilted by them.
Right.
If your partner refuses to eat, and it's kind of a messed up sentence, but follow along. Your partner is a grown adult. I assume they are also a competent grown adult. If their choices, they're not going to eat because you're not eating with them. That's a choice they can make. You need not feel guilty about it. That is a choice they make. And move on from there. And I figure if you do that enough times, they will start making their own choices.
Right.
And stop the guilt cycle and do what you need to do. It's just a meal. Now, that doesn't mean don't ever plan meals together. That doesn't mean don't ever go out to eat. But it does mean drop the guilt.
Right.
You're not controlling your partner, and nor should they be controlling you. And it sounds like right now what's happening is a little bit of both.
Right.
Is they're guilting you by not eating if you don't eat with them. But by the same token, you're both playing into this. Stop playing in.
Right.
It's a choice they can make. It's okay. They won't die.
Right. And it's like choosing to go and buy your own food or buying someone else's food. Or, you choosing the Instacart and letting him go buy his own food. That's all up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think at some point, you kind of almost have to start planning.
Right.
Is that, we all have things we enjoy that our partners will not. And that's okay.
Right.
Work with it.
Right.
And then you also get into entirely different dietary situations.
Exactly.
Which I think is part of where this one comes in.
Yeah.
Oh no, actually, sorry, this was a different commenter. Perhaps, I don't know. I'm having a moment here. So no, this is a different comment. Because someone had said, just stay together longer. After enough years together, you'll eat and look exactly the same. But a commenter replied, excuse me. LOL, we are physically very different, plus he smokes. I don't. I'm vegan. He isn't. So I don't think we will look the same. And that would be a couple that is definitely not eating the same.
All right.
So yeah. Now another commenter pointed out, and I think this is important. My best friend and her partner have vastly different eating habits. They will both cook their own thing, then sit down and eat together most nights. Once a week, they will have takeout together. Like, that's an option too.
Right.
Like, it doesn't have to be awkward.
Right.
I mean, does it fall into the common? Does it fall into the, like, it doesn't have to.
Right.
Does it work for you? Are you
Right.
both happy?
Right. And how to balance that out. Ours is TV dinners for now. If I feel like eating, or making, like tomorrow we're making 2 versions of dirty rice. I'm making mine, he's making his. Mine comes from scratch, his comes from a box.
Yes. I like my Saturday.
Yeah. All right, guys, so let's check out that poll.
Yes.
Oh, no, you are not the asshole for not sharing your babysitter.
Woot.
Woot. All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed tonight. We'll see you on Sunday as we're doing the monthly setup for September.
Yes. Also, won't we have a
Energy overview? Yeah, we have energy overview tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll see them for that. All right, well, let's roll that beautiful beam footage over here. And there we go. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, and Maria Meyer. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes, and be sure to book your Psychic Saturday appointments. They are available.
They
See you later. Bye, y'all.
are.